Well, Mikel, a real full-blooded derby for sure. What did you make of it as a contest, firstly?
Yeah, a really tough one. I think two teams that they play with a lot of intensity, aggression, will. You could sense that in every tackle, in every action, how much it was at stake. So that made it a game that in the beginning, especially the first 20 minutes, you could not see much, especially in any long sequences of play. And then the game started to settle, and yeah, after the red card, when we needed to, settle, make the adjustment at half-time, in the first action straight after the half-time, we conceded a foul, a wide free kick, and then a corner, and conceded a goal.
Did you expect the sort of physically intense game we got? I mean, right from that first challenge, I think the first foul was Cucurella on Saka, and it didn't let up really from there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, what made you expect that? Just the fact it's a London derby?
I mean, what is at stake? I mean, two top teams fighting for the Premier League, so it's normal.
What problems did they give you tactically, 11 against 11?
The same that we gave to them. The moment that someone finds a superiority, a free play with the space and man-to-man, you have to track back. So it's clear on all the direct balls and second balls and who wins that duel.
At half-time, what did you say to your players and how near the top of the list was don't get a red card now, especially with them down to 10?
Yeah, so we had 4 players with yellow cards, and you could see that they were targeting those players to get the game even, and probably stay away from that. The one probably with biggest risk, it was Ricky. That's why I had to take him out against Estebao or Neto, that he could come in and look for him. We done that, but we didn't really settle because the first action in the second half, long ball, they get a foul, wide free kick, corner, and a score. And then emotionally, you need to get through that, and it took us a while to get set, to get fixed, to be much more patient than we were in certain moments, to move them, to generate the spaces, and then we scored a brilliant goal. And then, yeah, we had 2 or 3 big chances, but the reality is every time that the keeper catches the ball, they were in transition.
Yes, they were. And let's round off the red card that he was talking about, the challenges going in very early. In fact, the Cucurella one we were talking about very early on.
Yes.
Saka set the tone, didn't it?
Yeah, we always knew that's gonna be, because them two always had this this kind of this competition. But that one with Moises Caicedo there, he was really...
That was 7 minutes
pumped
in.
up. Yeah, he was really pumped up. And this one again, Eze's going back away. There's no real danger. They were doing good with the press to cause Arsenal problems. But then this one is just, again, he's gone into a challenge that, Mikel Marino's he's got good control. He's got the control. He's passed it quick. He's got control. Maybe that's where he should have just eased off. But Mikel Marino's passed it through his legs. He's kind of caught him off guard, and he's well within his rights to go for it, but he's missed it, and that's why you get sent off.
No, I stand on my opinion I gave before. He wanted to get the ball. He was but he wanted to get the ball. As you can see, the tackle is down to the ground, to the foot, to where the ball was. Merino has been brilliant to, just deliver the ball quickly, and probably he was put off by this.
But overall, Chelsea have restricted Arsenal to their least efforts in a game in the Premier League since October 24 there.
I was listening to what Mourinho said. I think that was the key of the game. You expect that when a team goes down to 10 men and the other opposition is Arsenal, the Arsenal has more control of the game, putting more pressure with building up action after action. Chelsea didn't allow that. They just stopped Arsenal over controlling the game, and also they were dangerous on counter. So I think that has been the key. It's a very mature performance from Chelsea, because I don't think that there will be many teams that they can do to Arsenal in those conditions the same thing.
You know what, Steve? I'd say as well, Chelsea took full advantage of the fact that Arsenal, for me, like this last week, they looked a bit tired. That's why I said with 11 men, it would have been an interesting game. But I think that Arsenal have got to be happy to take that point. Chelsea are quite unlucky to have a man sent off like they did, because I think they might have caused a lot more problems.
Yeah, but it's still been a good week, hasn't it?
Absolutely.
Spurs and Bayern.
Fantastic week for Arsenal still. Brilliant week.
And they are still the team.
7 days for Arsenal. There is no let-up at this stage of the season, but it's the same for all those sides who are involved in trying to win multiple trophies. Can we... given all that, excuse the fact that they couldn't find that extra gear? Yes, they forced a couple of saves from Robert Sanchez, but they didn't manage to find that breakthrough when You were saying yourself at half-time, this was time for Arsenal to go and win here.
Yeah, no, it was, and I think the disappointing part of it would be Martinelli. This was the clearest they probably had in the whole game, and it's obviously right towards the end of the first half, and they weren't as flowing, and they didn't really have the feel of that were going to actually cause them problems at times. And the half chance, this was probably the other one, which was a fantastic save again by Sanchez, but again, we're looking at the 88th minute where Arsenal were at their dangerous.
In total, Theo, 8 shots in the game for Arsenal. That's the fewest in any game this season.
And those 8 shots, only 2 of them were probably really clear when I look at it as overall at the game. However, I think it would be important now their reaction, how they're going to react from these kind of games, and people expecting Arsenal to maybe go 2 ways here and really start, licking their wounds. They can't do that. And I think we look at these chances of Saka. These aren't clear chances. These aren't the chances we expect of Arsenal.
We're finding the best that Arsenal had.
Yes, I know, and that's the disappointing side of it that Mikel faced. He said we expected to win. We expect to put in a performance, and I felt just the intensity had to be raised, and it wasn't. Clearly, it wasn't. And these are really half chances and not what we're used to seeing Arsenal do. But however, look, it's a point. I keep on referring to it. It's the process which the Arsenal are developing at this moment in time, and it keeps these teams at bay. But yes, they'd be more disappointed in the fact they didn't actually create too many chances in a clear opportunity against 10 men. But it's one of those, like, how often, Studge, would you have trained against 10 men in training? I don't remember training against 10 men in training too often. So it's another factor. We're not used to it.
Is it unfair, Daniel, to say that Arsenal might have gambled a little bit more in pursuit of that winning goal?
I think that going back to maybe our careers, being on the pitch playing against 10 men, right? It's a gift and a curse because you're expected to win. You feel like, OK, it's our day now. We were going up against 10 men. But in a way, it can be more difficult because you either are calm and patient, which is what Arsenal were today, but then there's not that intensity to speed things up. And you talk about 8 shots, you would expect there to be more shots. But there are far less shots up from outside the box nowadays than there were when we were playing. So maybe people would have been taking longer range shots. Whereas now it's more of a methodical approach in that this is our way of playing. We're going to play it wide, we're going to have overlaps, we're going to make, 1-2s, this, that and the third, and try and break you down in the way we would break down the mannequins in training, effectively. So, yes, you could argue that Arsenal should have maybe thrown a little bit more at them and gone a bit more gung-ho, but as the manager said in the press conference, it's that in transition, Chelsea were still dangerous, and Robert Sanchez was really good on those crosses, coming to collect them out. But I would have anticipated Arsenal to create more chances within that in open play, for sure.
But 13 games in, and after a really difficult week for Arsenal as well, they find themselves 5 points clear. Had they found the winning goal, it would have been 7. And I'm guessing they would have taken that, Theo, wouldn't they, at the start?
Absolutely, as well. And when you look at the Liverpool, where they are in the league, and they were probably favourites to win it at the start, yes, of course. I think they would have looked at this table right now and absolutely taken that, of course. But look, you need to be careful, Manchester City. You're not quite sure they're not consistent enough in this moment in time. However, yes, I think the goal tally is exceptional. I think they're playing a level with a lot of players that haven't been available at times. So look, I think in this moment in time, Arsenal are sitting really well.
For context, this stage last season, Arsenal actually had 25 points and found themselves in second place, and Liverpool led the way with 34. So there was an opportunity, arguably, for Arsenal to have really put a serious distance between themselves and the rest and take advantage of some of the frailties that we've seen elsewhere. Is that an argument?
Today was a day for them to go ahead and continue in how they've been performing, which has been dominant. And going up against 10 men, I do believe going home now, they are gutted about it. I would be. We as professionals and probably on the coaching side of things, you could argue we take a point. When you go off the statistical analysis and you go, OK, cool, this number would get us the league, so this is a great point today. But that doesn't negate the fact that I'm still going home thinking we've played against 10 men, we've played against Chelsea, a direct rival. The opportunity is here to create a bit more distance. They've not taken that. Chelsea are going home, laughing, very, very happy, with big smiles on their faces, knowing they've got away with one today.
And we'll bring you how pleased can Chelsea be with that performance, and how pleased can Reece James be with his own performance today?
I think firstly for Chelsea, they'll be very pleased. I think the manager will be in that dressing room congratulating the players for sticking to the task and understanding it was a naive tackle by Caicedo, but how focused they were to ensure that Arsenal weren't going to get clear chances. They worked tirelessly as a team. Everybody, every last one of them gave absolutely everything, and that's what it's all about. In order to be successful, you've got to sacrifice yourself as an attacker, for sure. When you've got 10 men, it's important for you as one of the attackers to not necessarily think about scoring goals, and usually you'd reserve your energy to score goals, whereas in this case you reserve your energy to defend and ensure that you're making it difficult for the opposition. As for Reece James, I mean, we're talking about a player who's been in the first team environment now for many years and has become a senior player for this group. He's been at the club nearly 20 years and struggled with injuries throughout his career, specifically over the last couple of years. But there's no doubt he's an absolute unbelievable football player. The versatility he brings to this team, the set pieces that he can bring, he's got all the tools to be able to play in midfield and to play right back. He was an absolute beast today. Gave him so much running power in midfield. It was a very, very experienced and professional performance from him, and he played very, very well.
We were saying, Theo, there aren't many players with England who play in one position for their club and another for their country.
Yes, it's brilliant.
Unique right now.
It's very unique, and as well, it's a great, not problem, but it's another option that obviously Thomas Tuchel can have in certain games, because his delivery itself, set pieces, which are so important for a lot of clubs and a lot of national teams these days. But what I'm really pleased to see in his development is his growth and his leadership skills, because he's obviously been questioned in the past about is he a leader, is he a captain? He clearly is on today's performance. You're playing against Declan Rice and the other Caicedo next to him, and he's player of the match. For me, looking at the Arsenal sense, they'd be disappointed and they didn't test him enough. But look, he was absolutely outstanding today. He really was, from start to finish.
The game was really in the balance, wasn't it? I suppose the sense was that Arsenal were going to push for a winning goal, having equalised with half an hour to go. We had to wait, really, Theo, until the last seconds of the game for this moment. What has happened here is Gyökeres surely has got to be screaming at Timber to get out of the way of that.
This is when you get desperate towards the end of games and you want to obviously commit loads of bodies forward. You always feel, though, if a right-back's in this position, I would be asking questions, Gyökeres now. I'll be pulling him and just saying, look, this is my space. This is why I'm on the pitch. But look, he's been doing it all season, but just, he'd be disappointed with that. Gyökeres, yes, I think he would have been calling it. There's no doubt of that. I think we wouldn't see that. But it just annoys me when players are just out of position. But I understand why Arsenal committed so many bodies, but that's what they faced today, and it was disappointing on their side.
Was that a late let-off for Chelsea?
Very much so. You know, I'm there thinking, Timber! And I'm like, all of a sudden, it's like, you better move. Like, you know, I need to be the guy coming on the pitch and attacking this thing, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, just move out the way.
But Gyökeres is sometimes too nice, I think. He'd
have been fuming. He'd have been fuming about that. Of course, you're going home thinking to yourself, I want to say something to him, you know, but you know what? He was in my spot. And at the end of the day, he got the leap, he had the power, the connection was all off.
Would have been some story, wouldn't it, for Gyökeres, back from injury, coming off the bench, and that was going to be his moment to win the game for Arsenal in these late stages. It didn't happen. And I suppose Arsenal were favourites, really, Theo, after that red card in the first half to Moises Caicedo. Daniel spoke at half-time about it looking more like a red card once it is slowed down. When you saw it first time, did you think red straight away?
No, not initially, because I felt the referee actually continued to play the game. In that sense, if you think it's a red card, you're quick to react in that position, because considering this is one of the best referees in the Premier League.
He's actually got a really good view of it, probably better than anyone.
And like Daniel was saying at half-time, the delay, where he's obviously got someone in his ear just trying to re-referee, like we were saying, to give him a yellow, just to delay the decision so they could just really monitor it in that sense. I think that's the problem with VAR. I think you need to initially go with your initial decision straight away, and then you can obviously react in that sense. But I just think the fact he's delayed it and allowed the game to continue. Normally red card, you see it straight, red card. So, look, I think the right decision was made.
Because the game actually played on, didn't it, down towards this end in front of us. He might have wanted to see what happened in the rest of that phase of play. And then he pulled out a yellow card almost to mark it, didn't he?
Yeah, no, to mark obviously what he was going to commit to. But look, I just think Caicedo does not need to be doing that in that position anyway. You know, we could speak about VAR and all that side of things. However, I think Caicedo is the one who you kind of felt it was coming from his initial start of the game. I felt that was going that way.
And the question we have to, you know, what the VAR said watching it was the straight leg is key, Daniel. Excessive force as well used in that moment. You agree with that?
Yeah, it is almost like a little jump into it, and that's probably what it is. You can see the force is strong. It almost, if he doesn't pull his leg away, it could have been a lot worse.
And because of those two factors I mentioned, therefore endangering the opponent as well.
Yeah, and it looks like it, to be honest. You know, you wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of one of those challenges. Casado's a top-class football player, and he'll be absolutely fuming with himself right now, knowing that he's made a big mistake that's going to cost his team in terms of his availability moving forward.
And their fourth red card of the season, twice as many as any other team at this stage, which is not ideal 13 games into a season when you are potentially pushing on for a title. Having said all that, they still managed to find a way to get themselves in front. Did that come as a surprise at the start of the second half?
It did, I think, for everyone in the arena, how loud they screamed. You know, it was a magnificent cross into the box. The connection from Chalobah, who, again, I thought was brilliant today. And adding those goals to a game, you know, in these tight situations, it's two teams who are the leaders in terms of goals from set pieces. We're used to seeing Arsenal doing things like this to the opposition, and today it's Chelsea. The news is showing them what it's all about. They've got the players in the box that can make those connections, but it's always important when, you know, we talk about how many set piece goals teams score, but I think having players who can deliver crosses like that time and time again, that is also a unique skill set. Not every team has someone who can deliver a ball right to a player and consistently do it. The repetitions that these guys are putting out, the output in terms of, you know, we're going to put it in this zone and it goes into that zone, and it's evolving. And I think specialists, we talk about long throw specialists, you know, Liam Delap's dad was one of them. Now we're seeing set piece specialists, specifically corner guys, and it's like we're seeing a lot more assists, less in open play and more from set pieces now.
But a detailed team like Arsenal would be devastated to concede in that manner by the same token, wouldn't
It
they?
will just show the fact he wants Saliba and Gabriel back as quick as possible, because I felt throughout the whole game, it's probably the most vulnerable Arsenal were. You know, at times Chelsea found it comfortable, you know, when they're attacking them in times, and there was a lot of mistakes from the centre-halves as well at times. No one really showed the leadership skills in that sense to get control of the players and the play, and it didn't look as organised. And I think that would be the worry, looking in an Arsenal sense. But look, it's a point which, yes, you look back at it now, you would have taken it, of course. However, they'd be disappointed they conceded from a set piece, and it's a bit of their own medicine, isn't it?
Bit of disappointment you saw on the players' faces, didn't you, at full time, having equalised through Mikel Merino with still half an hour to go, that they didn't manage to find that extra gear they needed to brush aside this Chelsea side. Let's get Mikel Merino's thoughts now with Patrick Davison.
Well, Mikel, a big battle that you're obviously right at the heart of. As you stand here now, emotions, feelings about the performance and the result?
Well, on one hand, disappointed because we didn't win. And obviously, when you wear this T-shirt, you want to win every game. But on the other hand, we know this is going to be a long season. This is a really tough stadium to come, and well, we take the point. Obviously, we could have done things better, but I think the team showed a good mentality coming back from that goal.
What are your thoughts specifically on what you could have done better? 11 against 11 and then playing 10 men?
Yeah, maybe managing the game a little bit better, understanding what they were trying to do, how they were pressing, the spaces they were freeing for us, and trying to attack those maybe in the first half when they were going man-to-man so aggressively. And then with 10 men, a little bit more of patience with the ball. That doesn't mean complacency and playing like slow, but trying to find, you know, the wings and trying to elaborate a little bit more there to cross with players the box and try to thread a little bit more. Still, obviously, they're a good side, but yeah, I feel like the team did a good job today. We take the point, and obviously we keep going and let's win the next game.
Of course, they were down to 10 men because of a challenge on you. Can you just give us your view of that, and in the sort of the split seconds after it happened, were you worried about your safety? Did you feel like you were seriously injured?
Well, I felt my ankle go all the way, but luckily I have very mobile ankles and body, so yeah, I wasn't concerned about my save. But obviously I knew it was a horrible challenge and it was going to be a red card straight away.
Have you spoken to him since?
No,
not even as you come down the tunnel at full time?
No,
fair enough. You responded, they went ahead, you got the goal. Great bit of wing play from Saka. Just tell us about your thinking there with your movement, because you do have that knack of getting a big goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's something we train every day, trying to position yourself in the right areas, trying to be in the blind side of the centre back so they cannot have your reference, and then attack the ball in the highest point possible. Obviously, when you train with each other every day, you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, and B knows that I'm always there, and just cross the path like ball. It was just tapping in.
But I do agree with you that Marino gives them a different kind of problem for the opposition. But you need your big hitters out there, man. And Gyökeres was bought to provide goals in big moments. That's what he was there for. That's why I was saying he's fuming with Timber.
So what if Havertz is fit then? Who's starting then?
That's Arteta's job, isn't it?
But they're very different, aren't they? They're very different types. I suppose if you want to put them in a box, Havertz is probably a little bit more.
Well, there you go.
Marino-like.
That for me, that's the beauty of Arsenal squad. You know, this is the best squad they've had since the Invincibles. For me, when you look at them and you look at the players they've got in each position, they've got high quality players. It's not, okay, I've got a young lad who's coming in and he's this or he's that. These are seasoned professionals at the highest level. We're talking about Marino, who was at the Euros with Spain. Then you've got Havertz, who's won the Champions League at the club, and you've got Gyökeres, who's won the Golden Shoe last year. So these are the guys who are vying for one spot. Then you've got the wingers, the amount of options they've got there. I think all in all, when you analyse Arsenal now, they have acquired themselves an amazing squad that can challenge on all fronts. They are probably, when you analyse other teams, they're looking at Arsenal as the standard now and going, I don't think that's happened in the last maybe 15 or 20 years. Theo, you could correct me if I'm wrong as a former Arsenal player, but to me, when I look at them, I think the expectation is that they are the standard and they're being hunted now. The expectation of them winning the Premier League is probably a collective sort of feeling, which is again probably the first time it's really happened, where we're looking at Manchester City, we're looking at Liverpool, we're looking at Chelsea and going, Chelsea are a surprise package this season. The expectation wasn't for them to be challenging. So I think looking at Arsenal, they are in perfect prime position with all of the changes. We talked about Gabriel and Saliba today. The two centre-halves come in, they do well. So there really is no excuses in regards to Arsenal's capabilities this year. Now it's time for them to deliver, but it will be a similar thing now or next year.
Would you swap this squad for anyone else's?
No, I just wouldn't. I think Chelsea, I'm trying to mould like Arsenal a couple of years ago. I feel like they are in that process. I wouldn't change the squad for anyone. I think the options he has, we spoke about on numerous occasions, they're all testing each other, they all challenge each other in a really competitive, strong, positive way. I think there's plenty of positivity coming out of the club constantly, except from Mikel Arteta. He sets the start every day. I just think, for me, Arsenal, they need to be winning games like this, though, when you're going 10 men. We were saying they've got the best squad. Well, go and show me in these games when you're against 10 men to win. But having said that, they've just kept them at bay. So they will be disappointed, I understand that. But we're talking about the best squad right now that are trying to challenge Chelsea with 10 men. Not quite enough today for me. But look, they won't be they'll be disappointing result. However, they got a point.
I want to push Theo on the rest of his Arsenal team, because he's got Marino up front. I want to see what else he's got. We'll do that maybe in a few minutes.
That's top of the league, with a man less for a lot of it. What do you think you showed today?
I think we showed that we are in the right direction again. I always said the same, because I really think that we go in the right direction. The performance has been, I just said, the players, wow, for me has been fantastic. We were much better team than them, 11v11. And then with 10 players, it's more difficult. But the way they deal with that situation has been outstanding.
So how did you achieve that? How did you manage to be the better team, 11 against 11? Tell us a bit about the game plan.
But I think it's been quite clear that 11v11 we were better than them.
But what did you do to make yourselves better than them?
We just try to exploit the best solution, the best space, the best situation. We knew that probably the space was for Malo, Estevao in that side. The way we prepared the game, I think, worked quite well. And again, but overall, I think tonight we can be happy, even if we didn't win.
What did you make of the red card? Pretty clear?
I think red card is red card, to be honest. The only thing that I struggle to understand is the different way to judge, because what about Bentancur against Reece? If you remember, when we play away, it's exactly the same foul. So for me tonight was a red card, and also that one. Why once is red card, once is not red card? It's just this difference that sometimes you struggle to assess and to understand.
So you struggle a little bit with that VAR intervention when it does and when it doesn't?
I think it's red card. It's clear that it's red card tonight, but was also clear the other 2 games ago, 3 games ago. But why the difference? This is the only thing that sometimes you are there and say, oh, but it's where it is.
Moises Caicedo looked really fired up from the early part of that match. Is that just a case of it being a London derby? Do you think he was sort of wanted to prove himself against Declan Rice or anything like that? What do you think it was?
I think Mo is always in the same way. It's top player for us. Probably the desire from him was the desire from all the players to try to do our best and win the game.
It was, would you agree, a really physical derby match, perhaps as we should expect?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's football. It's between Chelsea and Arsenal. So it's completely normal.
When you had 10 men, it didn't particularly look like you had 10 men. They had obviously more of the ball, but you were able to stay in the game. What was, your method, your approach? How did you stay in the game as you did with 10? Obviously, you even went in front.
Yeah, first of all, you have to double the effort. That is the most important thing. And then in terms of on the ball, we didn't change a lot, for sure. With 10 players, every time Robert has the ball, we try to go with the Liam, while in a normal situation, we always try to build, short. But then in open play, the idea was exactly the same.
I remember, I actually spoke to you about this on Friday. Around this time last year, you were going great, and you said, we're not quite ready. Now, seeing that, are you ready?
I think it was exactly the same, what I said days ago in the press conference. Yeah. I think that we are better team compared to last season. We are more close, and then we see where we are in February, March, and then from there we decide our target.
Okay. So it's possible that you could compete?
Yeah, we are there.
Thank you, Enzo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The admission from Enzo Maresca, they are there, he said as well. Red card, no doubt about that, from Moises Caicedo. And is the danger, though, Daniel? Yes, they are there, they're knocking on the door, but the red cards are holding them back. 4 already this season. As you can see, they've only won 1 of those 4.
They've got to figure that out. They've got to figure that out. I don't know how they do that, what they do in the training ground, what rules they put in place. I don't know. They got to do something, because there's too many red cards, man. But they're harming themselves. That's the issue. If they had 11 men today, they were the better side, and we could be talking about a very different result. But they're causing themselves issues. It's like just try and stay locked in for 90 minutes and not get a red card. And I think at that point, they're clearly a consistently good football team, but they're shooting themselves in the foot time and time again.
All right, let's wrap this up, Theo, with some conclusions. Arsenal 5 points clear. Should they fear the challenge of Chelsea?
I think so. I really do. But just on that point there, Arsenal's problem last year, they drew too many games. Like with Chelsea, there are too many red cards. It's going to play catch-up, aren't you? Yes, I think right now Arsenal are very comfortable. They're very happy, but there's still gears to come. I do feel there's still more to come from Arsenal. There's been elements of this season where they've been a bit less patient in these games, yes, in the big games. I just feel they just need to pick up the intensity from start to finish, and a lot of teams can't cope with them. And that's why I'll just ask them just to ask questions of each other during these big games, to maybe go away from what Mikel's saying to them at times. I think that's a big change for me.
Very quickly, can Chelsea challenge?
Yes.
There we go.